Hey, O's fans, it's Friday afternoon, early Friday afternoon. I hope everyone had a wonderful 4th of July yesterday. I know some are working today. I'm going to do my Orioles annual mid-season report card today. Normally I do this in written form, but I'm trying to do this sometimes in the form of video. Um, I am usually tough but fair when I grade my players. This year there are no failing grades, and there frankly shouldn't be. There are obviously players that are struggling and that have struggled most of the year, but no failing grades on this report, and actually a lot of A's. And I don't just hand A's out lightly. You have to earn it with me, and this team has earned it. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into this. I'm going to start off with Brandon Hyde. Brandon Hyde has his defenders that will defend him no matter what. He also has his critics that will criticize him no matter what. I personally don't think a baseball manager matters that much. I think Hyde is a good leader of men, but I just don't think a manager really in sports, but especially in baseball, matter all that much. Casey Stengel had a bunch of world championships with the New York Yankees. He goes to the Mets in the 60s, and those teams were absolutely horrible. Casey didn't forget how to manage. Players managers manage. That's the way I see it. So I am not giving Brandon Hyde a grade. I think a lot of managers could do what he's doing with his team right now, but I did not blame him for the 100 lost teams either. Offense, I'm going to give them an A. They lead the league in runs scored, and I understand there's some inconsistencies sometimes, but this is the juggernaut offense that could beat you 1 through 9. They get an A. Defense, they get an A minus. Very good defensive team. Very rangy team. 39 errors at midseason is really good. And if you factor in how many balls our guys get to that other players wouldn't even get to have that kind of range and only 39 errors is a testament of how good defensively this team is. The rotation, I'm going to give the rotation a B+. Obviously, you have Corbin Burns and Grayrod, but they've lost some major cogs in that rotation, and even had Dean Kramer out for a while, and they held the wheels on the cart. So you have to give them credit. You have to give Drew French a lot of credit for that. Pavich has come up and has held his own. They get a B+. The bullpen, I'm going to go C. The bullpen has not had a lot of blow-up kind of innings. They kind of did yesterday. Beyond that and a few other times, they've surrendered a lot of inherited runners. Way too many. But overall, the bullpen has still given them a chance, and that's why they're, 23 games over 500. So I'm going to go on to the individual players right now. We're going to start off with the A list. Gunnar Henderson, no surprise there. He's the total package. Elite power, elite base runner, elite defender. You're never going to have to worry about him with any off-the-field stuff. That's why I just put a blank check in front of Gunnar. With him, he's never going to do anything to embarrass the team or the fans. Just the face of the franchise for years to come, and I think Rubenstein is going to write him that check. Not during his contract, though, because he is a Boris guy. Adley Rutschman gets an A. Complete leader. He's of the Thurman Munson type of captain leader if you will. But you look at second-year players and third-year players, how they fall off a lot of times. You look at Corbin Carroll this year for the D-backs, and there's just been none of that for Adley. He may have leveled off a little bit last year, but he's taken 3 steps forward this year. His DH splits are insane, and I think that's why McCann catches a lot. I think Adley is eventually going to shift to first base, or at least be a very part-time catcher. I think that's what his future holds, especially with Basallo coming up here in a year or two. Going down the list, we're still on the A list. Corbin Burnes, consistency. You just know an ace when you see it. He's it. Bases loaded yesterday. No outs. Gives up 1 run. I wasn't even worried. Yeah, we lost the game, but I was not even worried when the bases were loaded yesterday. I just knew that, he was going to minimize the damage because that's what he does. We'll see if he's in or out of our price range at the end of the season. Jordan Westburg gets an A. Professional hitter, does everything well as advertised. We heard about this in his minor league career, and what they said is exactly what he is. He can play second and third very, very well. He's made a few errors in the last couple of weeks, but that's bound to happen sometimes. Players also go through defensive slumps. Ryan O'Hearn, we're still on the A list. There's a lot of A's that I've given out here. Ryan O'Hearn, 2 words, cash considerations. I mean, Elias, maybe he's whiffed on a few guys, a few flyers, like Fujinami last year, and there's been some others, but some of these guys that he's hit on off the waiver wire and trading for cash considerations, it's just been incredible. Ryan O'Hearn is an all-star, and he's earned a 2 or 3 year contract from some major league team. Now we get down to the A- level. Grayson Rodriguez, a couple of blow-up starts, which in his second full year is going to happen. You look at where he is right now from a maturity level from last year, it's leaps and bounds better. The other day when he made that bad throw, last year that would have snowballed on him, and he probably wouldn't have recorded another out. He gets the big punch out on the next guy, and he recomposed himself. Love that guy's fire, and I'm believing that he's definitely going to be on that ace level in the next year or two. He's not quite there yet, but man, he's really matured. Craig Kimbrell, A-. The unfairly maligned Craig Kimbrell. I see a lot of my Facebook friends that hate this guy. I don't know what they're looking at. He's blown, 4 saves? He has a whip under 1. The guy's going to the Hall of Fame. It's not always going to be 1, 2, 3 in the 9th inning for any closer. I just think the fan base has been unfair with this guy. I think he's got a chance to be selected for the All-Star team. That's how good I think the guy's been. So, yeah, Craig Kimbrell, A-. If you want to challenge me on that, go ahead. But he gets an A- from me. B+, Danny Coulomb. That was a huge loss. We may not even get him back this year, but they're saying September. I trust Danny Coulomb over anybody outside of Craig Kimbrell on this current team. That's how good I think the guy's been. B+, Jacob Webb, much improved from last year. I think his turning point this year was in that first Yankee series when Kimbrell was hurt. He comes in and Hyde had no one else to turn to, and Webb just comes in there, just lights out, and carves up the heart of the Yankee order, striking them all out. And it was strike one, strike two, strike three. Ever since then, Webb has taken off. He solidified himself as a very solid member of the Orioles bullpen. Another B plus, Anthony Santander. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but I say Santander. Really good defensively, too. You don't even see Hyde take him out too often as for a defensive replacement. What did he have? 14 home runs in the month of June. Slow start, but he does that every year. This is an Anthony Santander year. This is what he does. When he goes on a heater, it's for weeks and weeks at a time. This guy loves the big moment. That's why I don't think you could just let this guy walk. Experience and guys that like big moments thrive and win World Series. As you saw last year, inexperience loses in the postseason. A lot of the Orioles had that deer in the headlight look last year. Anthony did not. Sign this guy. It's going to take about 3 years, 45 to 50 million. It's not going to be as much as people think that it's going to take. It's just not the market anymore for a corner outfielder. It's very doable. The Orioles outfield is not that deep anymore. Go ahead and lock up Anthony Santander. Let's see. Now we're down to the Bs. Ryan Mountcastle. His power is down this year. He's still having a good year, but he's a victim of that Baltimore in left field. I think that guy would have 35 to 40 bombs in a place like Fenway Park or especially Toronto, the way he kills that park. But Mountcastle, excellent defensively. Battling an injury right now. The Orioles are crowded at first base DH. So I would not be surprised if Mountcastle weren't packaged in a trade. C plus, I'm going Colton Cowser. He had an excellent April. It looked like he was the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. He had a dreadful May, and he bounced back a little bit in June. I still think the jury's out on this guy. I love his upside. He's going to have to work on those the cutoff throw, like Jimmy Dugan said in A League of Their Own. Going to need to work on hitting the cutoff man. And that's one thing he definitely has to work on. When he hits a home run, though, when he gets into one, they're mammoth shots, but can't hit the changeup right now. Can't hit the off-speed stuff. Lots of adjustments for Colton Cowser. C plus for Dean Kramer. Dean is solid. He gives you innings. It was a big loss losing him for that month and a half, whatever it was. Dean's a big part of the rotation. I'd love to see them make a trade to get a guy maybe between Kramer and Grayrod's level. I just feel like if Kramer's your number 4, you have a really good rotation. I feel like if he's your number 3, you have an okay rotation. Jorge Mateo, C plus. Probably my favorite player on the team because I just love the passion and hustle he plays with. But he's not an everyday player. This guy was tearing the cover off the ball when he was playing 2 or 3 days a week. When they made him a semi-everyday player again, that's when his numbers dropped off. A player like that, you just can't overexpose him. I love me some Jorge. I don't want him off the roster. I just want them to bring these kids up and have Jorge as the 26th guy, like a utility guy. Maybe get a start a week in the outfield, a start a week in the infield, and be that pinch runner to steal some bases for you in the late innings. James McCann also gets a C plus. Not an offensive catcher. That's not why he's here. He's here to keep Adley fresh. As I mentioned earlier, Adley Rutschman, his splits as a DH are off the charts. That's going to be Adley's future pretty much. DH, first base. His bat is too good to be a long-term catcher. Um, we have Yanir Cano. I'm still going to give him a C plus. I think Cano's been overused. He's still pitched in half of the games this year that we've played. That's just way too much. A 1.33 whip is way too high. He still gets out of some of these situations. He's terrible with inherited runners, as most of the relievers are. I can't go too hard on him though. I'm going to go C plus. He's just one of the few sinker ball pitchers that I've seen who pitches better when he's fresh than when he's been used a lot. I just feel like they have to find a way to make sure this guy has some rest. Now we're down to the C's. Dylan Tate. Sometimes he comes in and he's lights out. Other times he comes in and he struggles. I just think he's a run of the mill reliever. Nothing special, nothing bad. I think he's a former high round pick from the Yankees, and he's been okay here. Cole Irvin, a C. A few weeks ago, this may have been a higher grade, and I try not to grade on recency bias, but Cole Irvin has been absolutely just putrid here the last 4 to 5 starts. And like I said, the reason I'm still giving him a C here because I'm just trying to be fair. He held us in during a stretch where we really needed him. I thought he was really lucky though. A lot of hard contact outs, and I just don't think he's it. Basically, I think he's a major league long reliever or a number 5 starter in a bad rotation. We're not in the business here of having a bad rotation. Cionel Perez, kind of like Dylan Tate, but I think Perez has stepped it up here lately. I think Perez is one of those pitchers who steps it up when the chips are down, and they're going to rely on him a lot with Danny out. They're going to need Cionel, and I like the guy's fire. You could do a lot worse out of your bullpen. He gets a C for me. C minus. No one got a failing grade. I got to give my man Austin Hayes a C minus. Only 130-ish at-bats, but he's had some really bad at-bats in some key situations where all he's got to do is make contact, and he's swinging the balls 4 feet on the outside. I feel like he and Mullins both have pressed badly this year. They know they're coming up at the end of their Oriole tenure. They have younger guys coming up behind them. They know, they hear the footsteps, and they both have absolutely pressed, knowing what's coming up behind them. Ditto for Cedric Mullins. He gets a C minus also. And only that little push the last month. It took a great month for Cedric to even get in the C minus territory. That's how bad he was in April and May. The guy is fantastic in center field. He's almost like a Jackie Bradley Jr. type of player. Occasional power, wonderful defensively, but a 600 at-bat sample size, batting under 200. That's not a slump at that point. That's just who you are. So I'm going to end this because I've already gone 19 minutes, and this is hard to download. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend.